Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Basketball Conference, the ACC Football Podcast. My name is Joey Weaver. He is Mike McDaniel. Mike, week 2 in the books. We are live, youtube.com/@the ACC Football Podcast. How you doing? You ready to go? Ready to recap these games?
Yeah, I am. Some interesting results. We'll put it that way.
To say the least, yeah. Very interesting week 2 in the ACC on a couple different levels. So we've got a lot of these games that we're going to talk about. Once again, we are live, youtube.com/@the ACC Football Podcast. It is a few minutes after midnight. It's 12:25 Eastern time, Sunday morning on the East Coast. But we are live. We are here to hang out. We appreciate the folks that are here in the chat with us, helping to guide the discussion and participate with us. If you want to come hang out with us, go find us, youtube.com/@the ACC Football Podcast. Hit the subscribe button. We are shooting for 500 subscribers this season. We are all the way up to 376 right now. Really appreciate the folks that have been helping us with that. Make sure that you subscribe. Find other people's phones you can subscribe. It's all the same. We love it all the same. So appreciate you all for your support. That number has been shooting up really quick already this season. So thank you for that.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thanks for all the support. And, moving in a good direction there.
Absolutely. Mike, Scott, anything before we get into our 10-minute rapid recap?
One thing, so if you do subscribe to the YouTube, you'll be the first to get all the shows, because if we go live, it goes to YouTube first, and it takes me a little while to get it everywhere else. So subscribe to YouTube even if you want to get the show sooner than later.
And if you hit the bell icon, you'll get notified, too, when we're going to go live. So that'll help you even more.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Rapid recap.
Yes.
All right, Sounds good. 10-minute rapid recap. We ready?
We are ready.
3, 2, 1. Let's go chronological order. How about that?
Let's do it.
BYU 18, SMU 15. SMU was an 11.5-point favorite. Yikes.
Why don't we just go ahead and lose outright? Just ugly football here. SMU couldn't get out of their own way offensively. BYU was surprisingly feisty on defense, which I think we should just know that this is what they do under Kalani Sitake. SMU kind of shuffled the quarterbacks around. Preston Stone actually barely played here. Kevin Jennings played a bunch, but didn't look particularly strong throwing the football through the air. SMU turned the ball over 3 times. This is just a recipe of how to lose a Friday night game at home. Sorry. Stroke.
Crazy what happens when you're not playing bottom 30 teams in the country every week, Mike. How about that? Duke 26, Northwestern 20 in double overtime.
I don't want to talk about it.
This was.
I don't want to talk about it. I'm so angry about the under here. Don't want to talk about it.
You deserve better. You had under 37.5 locked up. I'm pretty sure you had that locked up in real life too, so to speak. And to lose that in double overtime is pretty brutal, but super weird game. Duke gets the win. Good to get that win on an away game on a weeknight. In that spot, you take them as you get them. Duke's 2-0.
Whatever, 2-0 in the books.
It's
good
fine.
enough.
I said chronological order. I'm just going to go in ESPN scores order on my browser. Louisville 49, Jacksonville State 14.
Okay,
sure.
good, because that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Louisville cruises here.
Good enough.
Didn't watch
a second of it.
Yeah, no, I didn't either. Louisville, again, had a big lead by halftime, and this is where they play Austin Peay last week. They play Jacksonville State this week. They have a bye week next week, and then they play Georgia Tech at home in 2 weeks. So we basically know nothing about Louisville other than they can absolutely run the hell out of their offense against decidedly lesser competition. So we'll see what that means here in 2 weeks.
But we knew that last year.
We did. Syracuse 31, number 23, Georgia Tech 28. A game that honestly was not that close. The final score looks closer than it was. Georgia Tech puts together a couple of quick touchdown drives towards the end and kind of started to threaten a little bit. But some of this to me is about Georgia Tech, Mike, but I think a lot of it is about Syracuse. Syracuse looked good. Kyle McCord looked really, really good in this game.
Dudes to the right, dudes to the left, stuck in the middle with you.
As we have said, not good enough to play quarterback at Ohio State does not mean that he's not good. and he looked really good today.
Put him in a dome, let him cook.
Mm-hmm. Sure did. Number 12, Miami 56, Florida A&M 9. Sure. Number 14, Tennessee 51. Number 24, NC State 10.
Bang, 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 you're dead.
Oh, my.
Told you. We told you.
Yeah, we both had Tennessee locked up, and there's a good reason for that.
Yep. They're a wagon.
Well, we're going to have to dig into this one quite a bit more because, again, feels like a little bit indicative of kind of where things are at these days, but that, we'll get there. Number 25, Clemson 66, App State 20.
Give me the sound, Scott. Give me a sound again.
Bang, 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 you're dead.
Thank
It was
you.
42-0, like 14 minutes into this game. Like, what the hell? Like, Clemson came out here clearly trying to prove a point, it seems.
Cade Klubnik at the end of the first quarter, 11 of 11 for 234 yards and 3 touchdowns. Also had a rushing touchdown.
Is that good?
Play the music.
In the club.
Yep.
Yeah, wow, Clemson. Damn. Okay.
App State made Klubnik look good. So
We'll come back to that. Pittsburgh 28, Cincinnati 27. I locked up Pittsburgh money line. Mike, it was never in doubt.
that's what the people are saying.
Many people are saying.
I beg to differ.
I mean, we could talk about the fact that it was like 27-6 with 16 minutes left in the game, but we don't have to. Never in doubt. Pitt had them right where they wanted them.
Just shout out Narduzzi because it was not looking good there for a minute.
I don't know how they did this. We'll come back to that as well. Cal 21, Auburn 14 on the Plains.
Cal's good, man.
Damn,
I'm telling
Cal.
you. Cal's good. I tried to tell you.
I mean, you definitely look good when you're +4 in turnovers, and okay. I mean, is Auburn good?
No.
Peyton Thorne did not look good today. Like in this
Bad.
game. Like
Yeah,
that was not
Choose
pretty
your
from
own
Auburn.
adventure.
Cal again +4 in turnovers, so that helps win a 1-score game, I would say. But
Yeah, I agree.
anyways, Boston College 56, Duquesne nothing. North Carolina 38, Charlotte 20.
Cover.
Well, Billy, if you spell this correctly, you pass.
What is
second
that
grade.
sound? Hold on. It's labeled as "I am the smartest man alive." I don't know what it was, but for all the fun you made of me taking Charlotte +22.5. Who's dumb now? Who's dumb now? Give me Charlotte in the 22 every time.
Barely. Yeah, sure. Barely.
That's right. Speaking of covers, Virginia Tech 31, Marshall 14.
One of these weeks, Virginia Tech will play football in the first half.
I was going to say, yeah, it was 10-7 at halftime. It took Virginia Tech about 40 minutes to get control of this game, and then they just kind of ran away with it in the second half without a problem. So.
Then they blew them out of the stadium.
Yeah, exactly. Stanford 41, Cal Poly 7 in a game that was 14-7 at halftime as well.
It was
And
7-7 with less than a minute to go in the first half.
Yeah, and then Stanford just absolutely put it on them in the second half and made sure that wasn't going to be a problem. Finally, Virginia 31, Wake 30. Hell of a comeback here from Virginia with 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter to come back from a 30-17 deficit. Damn, that was fun for Virginia. What a comeback.
You saw the best of
Virginia's
Calandria.
awesome.
You saw the best of Calandria. You saw the worst of Calandria all in this game. We got the full Calandria experience.
Yeah. Man, I love a good full Calandria experience. Don't clip that sound, please. But, yeah. Cool, fun win for Virginia. Really good. Wake, man, that's a tough loss to stomach, I think, in a game where you racked up like 550 yards of offense and still win. That sucks.
I'm going to go get a haircut tomorrow. I probably will not ask them for the full Calandria experience. We don't want to know what that'll entail.
Usually you got to pay extra for that, but
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's what I've heard.
yeah, that's what they say. Mike, I think that's it. Is that a rapid recap in under 8 minutes?
I think for a second week in a row.
Look at that.
Yeah, what the
Super
hell?
efficient with the timing. Actually, hold on. I think we forgot one.
Oh, yeah, we did. We forgot an
There's
important
one
one.
more. That's a very important one. Number 8, Penn State 34. The Bowling Green Falcons 27. They had the lead at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Bowling Green almost went into Happy Valley and knocked off Penn State.
Which P4 job is Scott Leffler getting?
Mm-hmm.
On a more serious note, I am feeling really, really, really good about Bowling Green over 6.5 wins.
I almost texted you in the middle of that of like, if Bowling Green wins this game, you feel really good about them hitting that over.
I am home. Yeah, I am home on the over if they beat Penn State in Happy Valley. I am home.
Yep.
I'm celebrating. Sure. I'm celebrating in the first weekend of September.
Yeah, no kidding. Mike, that's your rapid recap. Recap brought to you by Section103.com. It's the internet's premier place for all things wonderful Georgia Tech apparel. They've got T-shirts, sweatshirts, they got hoodies, things for men, women, children, babies, something for the whole family. Any Georgia Tech fan in your life, they need something from Section103.com. Use promo code GOACC for 10% off your first order. I'm wearing one of the performance shirts right now. Looks great. I had one on earlier, but again, parenting duties and it needed to be washed. So we threw that in the laundry, found a new one to wear. Really recommend going and checking it out. They've got some new stuff on there. By the way, if you're not following them on their social medias, once again, this is a missed opportunity on your end, because there was a day earlier this week we found out Georgia Tech ranked number 23 coming into the week. The whole site was 23% off, Mike. So
yeah.
If you're interested in getting some of their stuff, go follow them on social media so you know that usually these are like one day deals. And from something that Steven posted afterwards, it sounds like a lot of people saw the 23% off and were making good use of it. So go do that. Follow them on their socials, section103.com. Once again, use promo code GOACC for 10% off your first order. They've got things in the official Tech Gold, all the official word marks. It is just a phenomenal provider of Georgia Tech apparel for anyone in your life that needs some of that. So go do that. One last time, section103.com, promo code GOACC for 10% off your first order.
We love them.
We do. Mike, where do we want to start here?
I think we need to just get the mess that was BYU SMU just out of the way.
Yeah, mess it was.
Yeah, I mean, so BYU 18, SMU 15. I don't really know what SMU's doing at quarterback. I'm not sure they do either.
It doesn't seem like they do. No.
So they go into the year and, Preston Stone was an all AAC quarterback last year, right? It was him and Michael Pratt from Tulane. They were the two.
Yeah.
And everybody's still talking about Kevin Jennings after Preston Stone throws for like over 3,000 yards, leads him to a conference title appearance, all that stuff. Everybody's still talking about Kevin Jennings. Really kind of gave me pause going into the year. And like the fact that like all the preview magazines I'm reading are like, yeah, I mean, don't be shocked if Kevin Jennings wins a starting job. And for Billy Embody of On 3, who we had on for the first time talking about the season preview, he's like, yeah, man, like that's legit. Like, keep an eye on this. And the fact that that Jennings basically took the reins over in this game, you're probably not going back to Preston Stone now, right? Like, Jennings wasn't that impressive, but are you going to shuffle quarterbacks again here?
I mean, at this point, how can you, right? Like,
I know. How can you?
You've already made enough of a big deal of, like, and that's the thing, like, and I texted you during this game, right? Like, Preston Stone got votes for ACC Player of the Year in the preseason. Like, and he was this big-time quarterback prospect, and the thought was, like, he's going to be one of the better players in the ACC. He doesn't look good, and clearly he can't even hold down the starting job somehow, some way. And it does seem like they're trying to do this, like, flip-flop, maybe change up every drive or two sometimes, and maybe even within a drive at a time. Like, there's a reason this doesn't work, and there's a reason that nobody does this, right, of constantly changing out your quarterbacks. You got to pick one and go with it. So to that point, I would just go with Kevin Jennings and move on, or just stick with, like, you got to just pick one, right?
Yeah.
Pick one, stick with it, and move, because they're not even the same type of quarterback, right? Like, Preston Stone doesn't move very well. Kevin Jennings not like a real Peyton Manning type of passer. Like, you've got some mobility you want to work with, or do you want to work with a more refined passer? Like, that's kind of your choice here, and you really have to pick one because you can't interchange them like this.
No, and it's a mess. Like, they don't really have a handle on it, right? So they go into this game. Jennings looks terrible throwing the football, right? You go away from Stone early, then you stick with Jennings, and he is not connecting. Like, the guys are running open, not connecting on the passes. Throws a bad interception. They have 2 bad fumbles, right? They're turning the football over. They're letting BYU hang around. Defense was fine, but the offense just was horrible here.
SMU could not run the ball consistently at all in this game. They had a couple of big plays here or there, but like, I mean, you go 36 for 117, and like almost half of that yardage was on like 3 carries.
Yeah.
I mean, 33 carries that went for like 60 yards basically here. Like, that you can't have that.
I mean, Brashard Smith was SMU's leading rusher. 13 carries for 45 yards, 1 carry for 30 yards. So, like, he finishes 14 for 75, and it looks okay. But, like, he was pretty much bottled up outside of that one big run. So they really did not have much of anything going in the running game at all, to your point.
Yeah. And this is not a great BYU team. Like, again, I think that they're reasonably stout in the trenches, and definitely BYU, more than any other team, presents a unique challenge when they've got a bunch of 24 and 25-year-old dudes, like, in the trenches all over the place. So, like, you're not going to be seeing that much the rest of the season. But, yeah, this is one of those that, again, you were a double-digit favorite at home, and for most of this game, I mean, it's like you're just struggling to find anything that works. And I can't help but think, again, SMU had a good amount of hype around them, and they were a top 30 team in SP Plus last year, and all this, and they bring back this production. They got some transfers in, all this stuff. There is just something different when you're not playing a bunch of bottom 30 teams every week.
Yeah.
This is like a average, like 50s and 60s level team, BYU. Like, and you looked like hell the whole game. Like, it looked bad.
Yeah. I think it looked bad. I think BYU is obviously like a competent opponent, even if we don't think this is their best team. And I think it's a fair point. But like, SMU also had seven turnovers here for 7 penalties for 79 yards. We talked about the 3 turnovers. They really struggled to run the ball. Jennings was missing open guys. I mean, this is as much about SMU just like playing poorly as it is like who they were going up against, in my opinion. Sometimes it's like one of the same, but like you got to hit the open guy. You got to just not commit a million penalties. Like the fumbles are avoidable. Like that kind of stuff is just like, if you're trying to go up a level in terms of, going from a G5 to a P4, right? A power conference, like the ACC. I mean, you've got to be able to figure these things out against teams that are G5 level teams, right? Like BYU, I understand they moved up in a conference too, right? Like they're in a power conference now too, but like this is a team that is kind of in your likeness in terms of like they're trying to figure it out too. They're trying to make the jump too. And if you're looking to kind of make a name for yourself, you got to win these kind of games, right? Against teams that have a very similar caliber roster. And, for all the work that SMU did in the portal to solidify the trenches, which I think was all good stuff, and like that's what Rhett Lashley needed to do, they look totally overwhelmed in this game at times. And if they're looking overwhelmed against BYU, like you mentioned, like what's the rest of the schedule going to look like? So yeah, this is a tough one. This is one you needed to have if you want to reach like the upper end of your win total. I just don't think they're going to get there now.
Yeah. Well, and we'd be talking about this differently if it was 18-15 and you won instead of losing, right? Like, to your point, Mike, you just had to find a way to win it, and they just couldn't. And that's the big difference here is, it's one thing to win ugly, but you can't lose pretty. So
right, exactly. That's exactly right.
So, yeah, not great for SMU. And honestly, like it kind of felt like this kind of thing was coming. I know on the preview we said we weren't predicting BYU to win this game, but we both took BYU in the points. Figured they weren't
Yeah.
going to be able to get this much margin here. But I've got questions about SMU. Honestly, the better part of SMU in this game was their defense. Like, they actually held up decently against an okay BYU offense, right? Like, they went 2 for 13 on third downs, and they were able to get off the field at times. So there were some good things to take from it, I think. But that offense, for as much as they just ran up scores last year, they are not moving the ball consistently right now against anything that resembles a decent defense. So figure that out.
With a lot of offensive players returning to the fold too. That's what's most troubling, and they're not the only team in the conference that's having that issue. So just something to watch.
I do have one piece of good news for SMU fans.
What would that be?
Next week, they host TCU. I think in that game you might be a small underdog, and that is great news, Mike. Because that game is being played on the Cheeks W.
The Cheeks
so you're going to be a
W.
CW underdog next week, I think, SMU, and that is great news for you.
It's a good place to be. It's a good place to be.
It's a fantastic place to be. BYU 18, SMU 15. I'll let you take a swig there, Mike. Sorry, I didn't. We're out of sync here.
Let's talk about your Jackets. That's my bad. I mean, it's my fault, honestly.
Let's talk about the Jackets. Syracuse 31, the number 23 Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets 28. As I said, Mike, like a couple things here. So, I mean, I will say that I thought Georgia Tech did not play well here. They looked a step. They looked a step slow at times. I don't know if there was fatigue or if the noise in the dome was bothering them or what it was, but they did not look nearly as crisp. They really struggled in the trenches. Syracuse did a really nice job in this game in the trenches, kind of on both sides, kind of dictating the game. Georgia Tech's defense could not get off the field. Syracuse, goodness gracious, Kyle McCord. I looked at the box score and I saw that he was 32 of 46, so he had 14 incompletions. I don't know where the 14 incompletions happened because it was like he felt surgical the whole game. He was great. Aronde Gadsden was nasty the whole game. Trevor Pena was great the whole game. Like, Syracuse looked really good in this game, and honestly, I mean, it was 31 to 14, I think, with 7 or so minutes left.
Yeah.
And Georgia Tech goes down and scores, gets the onside kick, scores again, and makes it look close. But I mean, Syracuse is the best team here, and I think Georgia Tech, again, defensively, still a work in progress. I did not. There's a reason that I picked them to lose this game, and that was part of it, was the defense, and I'm just not so sure. And, that was a problem today. They could not get to Kyle McCord. They did an okay job stopping the run. I thought that the averages don't look that way, but, on a play-to-play basis, I thought they did okay. But, this was a tough spot for Georgia Tech. They did not play well. Syracuse did, and Syracuse came away with a win. And Syracuse play like that, you're going to beat a lot of teams in the ACC, I think. They played really well today. I can't say that enough.
Yeah, it's really good complementary football they're playing, right? McCord, they got balance offensively they haven't had in a while. Like, they got a really good passer in McCord. He's accurate. He delivers the ball on time. They got good receivers. They got a good running game. LaQuinn Allen's very good. My takeaway here is that I think Syracuse is good, right? That was my takeaway. They're good. They're legitimately competent. Look like they could win at least 8 games. They're good. They're a good team.
Yeah.
Fran Brown's got something going there early here in his tenure, and
let's come back to that in a second. But yes,
I was high on the hire. I told you I was high on the hire. Pushing recruiting, all that good stuff, and they're off to a nice start here. My takeaway on the Georgia Tech side is you played a real offense, and look what happened. That's my takeaway. Like, we're getting more data points on Florida State. Georgia State is not very good. Georgia Tech went up against a real offense. It was the first time they had to test defensively. and they dug themselves into a pretty big hole. Like you mentioned, the issues in the trenches. I think that was kind of what was most prominent to me. They like really struggled in the trenches in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Little bit of a surprise because I think Florida State's, for all the issues Florida State has, like offensively and defensively, I do think they're okay in the trenches. Like I think they got good players, right? And Georgia Tech was able to hang with them, so I was surprised that they weren't able to hang with Syracuse here. Yeah, I think the defense is going to be a work in progress, right? I'm holding an over win ticket on Georgia Tech, right? 4.5. I would have liked to have had this one today, but we also stole Florida State in the opener, and in hindsight, obviously, it doesn't look like they stole it. Georgia Tech's a better team than Florida State, but like on paper, I stole one, but then we gave one back here. I was hoping to have this game, so it is what it is. I think Georgia Tech is still in position to go over their win total. I think they're looking like a good enough team to do that. I just didn't love. I didn't love that this game wasn't really that competitive in the second half. Like they're down 17. Georgia Tech, scores late flurry, couple late touchdowns, got stopped defensively. Finally, got the ball back, scored again. So I mean that was good. They didn't quit, but I think Georgia Tech might. We got to keep an eye on the defense. I think the way you described it, work in progress, is like the accurate way to talk about it. I don't want to say that they're like not any good or anything like that, or they're not improved. I'm not. I think Georgia Tech's had good offense, right? I think they had a rough day today, but I think Georgia Tech's had good offense, so I wouldn't be too terribly concerned about that. I just think the defense is going to be a work in progress, and it's going to be very week to week. See how they perform, see what they're going up against, and then they got to play complementary football. Like the offense had a bad day today, they got to be better, but like they've been pretty good the first 2 weeks, so water finds its level a little bit. We'll see what happens.
I think a lot of people were pretty disappointed in the fact that Georgia Tech had such a hard time running the ball in this game.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like the identity of this team, even going back to last year, is we're going to run the ball. And, the offensive line has been hyped up a little bit, and they had a really good performance the first 2 weeks. It seems like they could kind of run the ball at will at times, and you just didn't see that today. I mean, there were a couple of moments where they were able to, but not on any sort of consistent basis all day. And so that was definitely disappointing. And then defensively, I mean, I look at the Syracuse was 10 of 17 on third downs and 2 of 2 on fourth downs. So you got them to third down 17 times and 12 of them Syracuse converted. Like it's tough to win like that, right?
Yeah.
And again, credit to Kyle McCord, credit to those receivers. I mean, it didn't feel like there was almost any mistakes or any unforced errors being made there. It was pretty clean. Kyle McCord's like a fifth-year player. Like he's been playing college football a long time.
Yeah.
So you're not surprised by that for sure. So just the way it played out, there was a lot of special team stuff here too. By the way, I don't know if you saw that Georgia Tech blocked a punt and blocked a field goal, got an onside kick.
Still down a couple scores.
Yeah, still losing. Yeah, so kind of a weird game. But it's one of those, somebody asked me, I think it was Dan, was a follower on Twitter, asked me, like, first of all, he asked me on, like, Thursday, Friday when our preview went live, asking, like, how could you pick against Georgia Tech? And then today, asking, how can you be so, like, emotionally reasonable when these things are happening? My response is kind of the same of like, it's sad, truthfully, but you just got to lower your expectations, man. Like you just,
yeah.
I picked against them because things start going really well, and it's been long enough since things go well and they keep going well for Georgia Tech, right? Like at some point they're going to break bad, and it's like you're going on the road to the Carrier Dome, and I didn't have a good feeling about it, and
things just simply don't go spectacularly there, no matter who the opponent is. Like you go into Carrier Dome, it's gonna. I'm sorry, the JMA Wireless Dome. So Syracuse fans don't get mad at us. Whatever.
Yeah.
People go there and don't play
X, not Twitter, that he was asking this.
So okay, good. Okay, I think we're all square. I think anybody who's offended, I think we covered all our bases.
Sorry, Elon.
Sorry, Elon. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, this is what happens. You go there and you lose. Georgia Tech. I mean, they went to a bowl game last year for the first time in, what was it, 5 years?
Yeah, first time since 2018. Yeah, first bowl game in 5 years.
So that's why you're emotionally reasonable.
Still a building process, right? And I know that we were all real excited. Got the big win in front of God and everyone in week 0 in Ireland.
In a standalone.
Did that, and then had a 3-score win last week against a Georgia State team that seems maybe a little bit more live than we thought they would be, but so again, defense still got a little bit of work to do. I will say, I look ahead, and I realize that now you're 2-1. You would have liked to have this one today. I think they could reasonably go 3-1 their next 4 games. So next week, you're at home against VMI, which you better not lose that. They're not going to. I'll tell you right now, they're not going to lose that game. That I have faith in. They're going to go on the road to Louisville, and they're going to give up about 900 passing yards in that game.
Yeah, they are.
They're probably going to lose.
Yeah.
Then you got a bye week. You're home against Duke, and you're on the road at North Carolina. They could be 5-2, I think.
When they host Notre Dame. Yeah.
By the time you're playing Notre Dame in late October, and that could be a ranked matchup at that point, as a 5-2 team against
Notre Dame will be top 15 again, top 10.
Presumably
maybe.
one-loss Notre Dame team after. That's a different discussion for today, but
Marcus Freeman, Joey. I just published a story. Marcus Freeman has now lost 3 times at home, as an outright, by the way, as a favorite of 16 points or more, and he's in his 3rd season at Notre Dame. That is, it's not good. It's not good.
Not a good trend. Not a good trend. Point being here, I think Georgia Tech is okay. This was a tough spot, but I think they'll be in an okay spot moving forward. So yeah. I wouldn't take this to mean that they're just not that good. And again, I think, and I texted you this earlier, I think Syracuse, if they play like this, they're like a top half team in the ACC.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to be what they they're going to be what they were forecasted to be, which is like over under win total like 7.5. I mean, they look pretty good.
Yeah, very good. This was not fluky. Like they were legit good. And so, I mean, Christian Neal asked the question, was Tech overrated or Cuse a surprise? I mean, if you look at this and you say, well, Syracuse was an underdog and they beat a ranked team. Okay, yeah, but like we said, I mean, this is a 3-point spread. These are not seen as like wildly different teams. I mean, the way it played out, like a little bit of a surprise, but like I think Syracuse is better than I expected them to be in year one. Maybe not wildly so.
Right.
I do think we got a little excited about Georgia Tech after the last few weeks. And I think that went into my picking against them to win this game. But so I think it's a little bit of both, but
yeah,
I wouldn't get too up or down on this game. I think there's a chance that Syracuse is a solidly decent team in the ACC in year one.
Definitely a little bit of both.
Yep. Mike, did you see any of this stuff with Fran Brown and Brent Key?
Oh yeah, Georgia Tech fans are all mad about it. Which is funny. It's fine.
No, well, okay. Hang on. So
they're all crying. They're all crying about it on social media. That's all.
No, it's okay. So this is the thing. So, and I want to be clear about it. So if you don't know what this is, I started seeing this. I think it was Friday morning that Fran Brown started saying some stuff, doing some stuff, saying that Brent Key had been disrespectful towards him earlier. Was talking some trash, something like that, from a press conference earlier in the week. So when Brent Key did his weekly press availability, I think on Tuesday, somebody asked the question. They said, "Hey, Brent, you were a coach at Western Carolina in 2004 when Fran Brown was a player there." And to be clear, Brent was coaching. He was the GA, I think, for running backs and tight ends or something like that when Fran Brown was there as a cornerback. And they asked, like, what do you remember from Fran Brown when he was on the other side of the ball on this team 20 years ago? And Brent kind of said, I don't really know. No, I don't really remember him that much, honestly. But he said, like, he's been a part of some good coaching staffs, and I know that they're trying to build a good program up there. Like, it was kind of trying to be complimentary of him in a way. And then started talking about, we want to be a physical team. We want to be a tough team, which is, if you've ever listened to any Brent Key press conference since he was named the interim, almost any question you ask him in any press conference is going to come back to, we want to be physical, we want to be tough.
Yeah.
So somehow Fran Brown hears all of this and decides Brent Key is saying that his team is tougher than mine, and that's a personal offense, and we're all mad about it. And he comes out in his press conference and kind of starts, saying like he's all mad about it. And at this point, Mike, I want to be very clear. I am not mad about this at all.
I know you're not.
I'm confused. I'm trying to understand how we're twisting words to make it to where Brent Key is talking trash about his team. Whatever, it's fine. And even this time yesterday, I was saying, keep in mind, Fran Brown came to this role from Georgia, where he was coaching a team that won a national title, and on the field after the game had players saying they picked us to go 7-5.
Yeah.
Which was objectively not true, which was later admitted to be a lie. But tell yourself whatever you got to tell yourself to keep yourself motivated. Fine,
that's all
whatever.
It's
all it is. Fine, whatever.
That's it. That's it.
So then in the post-game press conference, Fran Brown is going out here yelling about, like, this was a very personal situation, and don't come in here coming at me. Like, we're going to come right back at you and some stuff. And I felt like I was like the guy standing at the bar, like kind of waiting to be served. And there's a guy standing next to me, and the bartender like finally looks over and says, "Hey, who's next?" And I look at the guy next to me. I say, "Hey, you can go ahead." Like, basically kind of trying to be polite almost in a way. And like that guy looks back at me. He's like, "You calling me a lady?" Like just finding ways to get offended by things or something. I don't know. It was a very weird thing. And then he goes back and tells his boys that I called him a lady. And now his boys are trying to fight my boys. And we're all like, what's the problem here? What?
Yeah.
It's just a very strange situation. And Mike, I got to tell you, I'm confused. It's all fine. You motivate your guys however you want to. Aronde Gadsden mentioned it in the post-game press conference that apparently Brent Key was talking trash about them. And again, not true, whatever. The thing that, if I was irritated by anything, it was the some of the Syracuse like state media, that there's certain ways you could report on this, and they reported on it.
Hey, Emily. No, I'm just kidding.
They reported on it in a way that was like, Brent Key was disrespectful towards Fran Brown, and Fran is not taking it, as opposed to Fran feels like he was, so anyways, I don't know. Just nonsensical, weird stuff. And maybe Fran's going to do this every week, and this is how you keep your team motivated, and maybe that works. I don't know.
You can't do it every week, though.
Yeah.
This is fine because he's in his second game on the job, but you cannot do this every week.
Yeah.
Because then it doesn't, your players are going to see through it. It's all good right now, Joey, because they're 1-0, and this is like a big game for them, obviously. And, it's a first conference game, all that stuff. Like, this is a big game for Syracuse going in. And, like,
yeah,
you got something to prove. You're a first-year head coach, if you're a player like Aronde Gadsden or a player like Kyle McCord. Gadsden's coming back to try to prove that he's healthy again. He's an NFL prospect. McCord's trying to prove that he's a really good college quarterback and that, Ohio State made a mistake. They got their own motivation, right? And they're trying to, like, lead the program kind of into its, like, initial stage of, like, taking off before they are done with their college eligibility. All this stuff rings true when it's the first couple games or even, the first season of a program. But this stuff is going to ring more hollow as you move along, though, right? So, like, you cannot do this every week. is all I'll say. And I don't think it's a big deal because I think it's all like motivation stuff and whatever. But like, I don't think he's going to be able to continue to do it and then still get like the same message across is what I would say. So
yeah. Agree with that. We'll see what we're doing in late October because again, Syracuse looked good today.
I don't think he needs to do it.
They were more physical. They were, they were by all means, they were the better team. And so I hope that it's not this tactic that is what is required to get there. Because like you said, I mean, you can't make that work 12 times a year. Like,
yeah, and I think they have enough, like, at least so far through 2 games, like, I think they have enough substance to them where, like, they don't necessarily need to do that. Like, they can just go out and play. And, like, the other thing, too, is, like, Ohio ran all over them last week, right? Like, we touched on the recap, like, they ran all over them. And then we touched on the preview, like, hey, if Georgia Tech's got an advantage here, like, this is where it would be. And Georgia Tech really struggled to run the ball. I think it's a testament to Syracuse bouncing back and, like, just playing better. But they got like legitimate substance to them. Like I think they're a good team. I think that, defense with a lot of returning starters that, they were really young last year in the secondary and stuff like that. I thought they played pretty well today. And I think, they got a good offense. It's a good team. It's a good team. I don't think they got to do all that stuff, but I saw Georgia Tech fans mad about and up in arms. And like my reaction is kind of the same as yours. Like a little weird, but it's like all motivation stuff. It's just a coach trying to, get an edge. I mean, he's in his first year, so he's trying to like strike a chord with his players. I get it. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but I get it. I mean, that's what they do.
I think you're a weirdo, but it worked. Man. You won the game. Like
it worked.
What can I say?
Yeah, it worked. It worked, right? I don't know if it's going to continue to work, but like I think they have enough substance where it shouldn't matter. Like they shouldn't need to be like fake motivating themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Syracuse 31, Georgia Tech 28.
Let's talk about Tennesse, NC State, because I have some thoughts here, man.
Number 14, Tennessee 51. Number 24, NC State 10.
Yeah.
A game that was kind of competitive in the first half, and it wasn't long before halftime that it was no longer competitive.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee was like shooting themselves in the foot a little bit. That's why it was competitive. NC State was awful on offense here. And my macro takeaway is that if Tennessee plays defense like this, and look, I know NC State's got their issues offensively, but like if Tennessee plays defense like this in the SEC, nice little sleeper because like the offense is good. I mean, the offense just scores a million points. The offense is really good. So
that is a definite playoff contender type of team. Like I don't know if they'll win the SEC, but could be hosting a playoff game before Christmas.
Yeah, I agree. So from the NC State side, right? Because that's like the side we care about as an ACC podcast. From the NC State side, like this offense is not very good. Like Concepcion is awesome. He's got obviously a really good chance to be like first team all ACC receiver. He's really, really good, but like they don't have anything outside of him, at least through the first couple games. They don't have anything. I was catching a lot of crap for like talking about how bad they looked against Western Carolina, and like it was kind of a repeat performance offensively. Like Grayson McCall really struggled through the air in that Western Carolina game. I know the stats, he ended up throwing for 300 yards, but like if you watch that game, like the passing offense was atrocious. Like he struggled through that game. A couple big plays got him there, but like he did not look particularly good. I mean, this game he's 15 of 22 for 104 yards and a pick. Kobe, like 15 completions for 104 yards. Like, what are we doing? Everything was underneath. Everything was targeted Concepcion. They could not run the ball. Like Tennessee just smothered everything up front. NC State's offensive line looked totally overwhelmed here. What did Tennessee finish with? 4 sacks? 3 sacks. 3 sacks and 13 tackles for loss. Like,
yikes!
Like that's not going to get it done. And then defensively,
that's when
like,
you know nothing is working for NC State. Like,
well, yeah, and then defensively, we knew that NC State was going to be up against it. Nico, the quarterback, Iamaliava. Did I get it right?
You could probably pronounce it 3 different ways. I would tell you got
Okay.
it right every time. I've
Okay,
heard
that
it
sounds
so many
good.
ways, so confidently. I don't know.
Yeah, a couple of boneheaded picks, but like we also saw the throw, like the upside throws, and just like the talent there, and also like Dylan Sampson is being a little bit overlooked. He's a damn good running back. Like he's been really good. He was really good in week 1. He was really good tonight. 20 for 132 and 2 scores. NC State did not have an answer for him. This Tennessee offense, everybody talks about with Heupel, it's like add a competent quarterback and like mix, and you're going to score 35, 40 points a game. And they put up 51 tonight because NC State just couldn't stop them. And NC State just had a couple of really bad turnovers. Like they had 2 really, really bad fumbles. The McCall interception was horrible. Like he didn't know if he was thrown to the guy in the flat or the out route. And NC State had a really good drive going there too, and that's where I think the game just kind of flipped. Right, late first half, you throw that pick, it gets returned. That's really tough, right? It's tough to come back from that, and I think from there, like,
swing.
Yeah, it was a huge momentum swing in the game because like NC State had some offense going. I thought NC State did a pretty good job of draining the clock too. Like the first drive of the game, NC State held the ball for a really, really long time. And it was clear that was going to be the game plan because Tennessee can put up points in a hurry. The problem is when you turn the ball over, when that's your game plan and you turn the ball over, it can get out of hand quickly, especially once an offense like Tennessee finds their footing. So I think that's kind of what happened here. I don't think NC State is necessarily as bad as they showed defensively tonight because they're not going to be playing a lot of offenses that look like Tennessee. But my concern with NC State is the offense. I think they are kind of in a world of hurt if they can't get Concepcion the ball. And that's where that's where my concerns are with like high upside NC State. I don't really see it because the offense hasn't been there against an FCS opponent, and then it wasn't there tonight, obviously, against Tennessee. So we'll see moving forward. Tennessee might just be really, really good, right? And I think they are, right? And I think that's the reason why you lost by 41. But NC State's got some offensive issues that have now shown kind of their face here through the first 2 games that I think we should definitely keep an eye on.
100%. Yeah. And that's kind of my takeaway too here, right? Again, Tennessee, I think in contention to be like hosting a playoff game, like one of those top 4 teams that doesn't win a conference. They might be really, really, really good. If they can get everything to mesh here the rest of the season. On the other hand, NC State, it kind of looked like this last week. You got it done, but it took all 4 quarters against Western Carolina. You come in here, you run 50 plays on offense for under 150 yards. That is not going to get it done. And, you're going to be hoping to win some 13-10 rock fights in the ACC if that's how you're going to play all year.
Right.
Now, I will say it reminds me a little bit of what I saw last year, honestly, where Brennan Armstrong transfers in to a lot of hype, a lot of circumstance. It doesn't go very well. They change quarterbacks. They change back. Like things finally started to click, but it was like game 9, game 10 before it started to feel like things were really starting to move for the offense. I don't know that you have a backup option like MJ Morris was last year. So like, you got to hope that this starts to click a little bit better than it did, a little sooner than it did last year.
NC State averaged only 4.86 yards per play here. That ranks in the 24th percentile out of all the teams that played in week 2.
Yeah,
so
it's not great.
Shout out Game on Paper.
Yep.
Which we know them well.
Shout out to Akshay.
Yeah, not great.
Yeah. I mean, not great for NC State, honestly. And we both had Tennessee locked up. I don't think we thought it was going to be this bad. But,
no, I did not. But
again, there's a reason that we were both pretty enthusiastic that they would win by, 7.5 or more. And I don't know. We'll see. But this is going to be a thing where you've got to figure out the offense somehow, some way. Because whatever this defense is, like, it's not going to hold up for 12 weeks. It's not going to get you 9 wins if you can't move the ball and give them some rest at times. Like, it's not going to work.
No, it's not. And this, if I had to bet one game all weekend, like this would have been it. So that tells you kind of the confidence level I had in Tennessee with the 7.5. Did not think it would be a 41-point spread. Did expect a comfortable win for Tennessee, though. So, like, I come away a little bit surprised, right? But, like, not the way the game went, it kind of played out exactly how I thought, just was a little bit more dramatic than I expected in terms of the spread on the scoreboard.
Tennessee 51, NC State 10.
Let's go. We can get this over with quickly. Duke 26. Well, I think we can get this over with quickly. Duke 26, Northwestern 20 in double overtime. Joey,
All the speed of a rabbit.
I tweeted out the end zone is lava with like 4 or 5 minutes to go in regulation. And I had a feeling
really, this is your fault.
So really, this is my fault. And I mean, to be fair, the end zone was lava, right? There was nothing I said that was untrue. Like, Duke and NC State did absolutely everything in their power to not score touchdowns for the first, like, 57 or 58 minutes of this game. Hell, the first 60 minutes of this game. They did everything in their power to not score touchdowns. Joey, I need to read you a tweet from, a post on X. Sorry, I don't want to offend anybody.
Twitter, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. This is from my co-host on my Virginia Tech podcast. This is from Ricky LeBlue. And he posted this during the first overtime. Quote, "I'm instituting a year-long ban on Northwestern and Duke. For the love of God, y'all can get off the field." Which was everybody's sentiment watching the game, right? But we all had it on because the only other option was watching an NFL game in Brazil. So, of course, we were watching Duke Northwestern because that is the better option if you know what you're talking about. So that's what 100%. We were doing. So pretty much all of humanity that, exists on Saturdays and doesn't give up their entire life, they were watching this game Friday night. The offense in this game set football back a million years as we anticipated. It was a little bit windy at Northwestern's 10,000 seat temporary stadium, a little chilly on the lake. The only play that Duke ran in this game was an RPO slant. So if you're good at that play in college football 25, that's the only play that Duke ran. So
they ran it 60 times.
Yeah, so it was like me playing against the computer when they can't stop it. That's what they ran. Duke should have won this game. Was this the end of regulation when Malik Murphy missed the slant? It was Jordan Moore streaking across the middle of the end zone, and he just missed him, and he was wide open, and it would have ended the game. That would have been it, and he missed him. And so Northwestern lives to see another down. The reason why that really frustrated me is because I am holding an under ticket. And it's 13-13. What are we doing? And this game goes to double overtime. Everybody deserves their money back on this bet. Everybody deserves their money back.
We played 60 minutes. There were 26 points scored. You had under 37.5, and it didn't get home.
It went over by over a touchdown. I mean, this is the devil was at work here. I mean, this is horrendous. Horrendous. My takeaway is that Duke's 2-0. Whatever. They got some issues, obviously, offensively, right? I mean, they're really struggling to run the ball. Number one, number two, throwing the ball. There were a lot of drops, right? Malik Murphy is throwing these. The receivers are running these out routes. And he's hitting them, and he's throwing it to where only the receiver can catch it. The problem is he's playing quarterback at Duke, not Texas. So the receivers drop the passes now outside of Jordan Moore. They drop them. So that's kind of the issue there. I don't know, man. I think there's an issue. I think there's an issue with Duke's offense. I think they're going to struggle moving forward. It's a great win for Manny Diaz, though. You can hang your hat on, right? This is the type of win you need in year one. So a nice little road win. I think you take that. But, man, I don't know. An ugly, ugly game. So I think if you're Duke, you're really happy you came out on the other side with a win.
Yeah, I mean, you take the win where you can get it on the road in a weird environment, weeknight game, weird makeshift stadium, windy conditions, like all that stuff. You take it. You don't ever look that gift horse in the mouth, right? But I think there's still valid concerns about is this team going to be able to win a bunch of games this year? And I'm still skeptical for sure. I don't have a whole lot else to say about this game because it was just very strange in so many ways. But the biggest thing I want to do, can I just read like the entire drive chart?
Do you want to do the drive chart? Yeah. I should see the floor at the beginning for that. So go ahead.
No. It's not great content, but just if you didn't watch any of this game or you don't really understand, let me explain here.
There it is. Good call on the Aggie sacks.
Here we go. Field goal, punt, interception, touchdown, punt, touchdown, punt, end of half. Blocked punt, missed field goal, interception, fumble, field goal, punt, turnover on downs, field goal, punt, missed field goal, punt, field goal, end of game.
End of regulation.
That is how we spent our Friday night, was watching that. And as you said, Mike, if you think that watching the Packers and the Eagles in a foreign country is better than watching this, you're wrong.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
Yeah. So, good win, Duke. You beat a Big Ten team on their own building. Good stuff. Or their own
practice field.
Whatever, makeshift
practice field. Yeah.
Facility. There you go. Duke 26, Northwestern 20 in double OT.
Pitt 28, Cincinnati 27. Like we said in the rapid reaction, never in doubt. Pittsburgh played terrible for, what do you want to call it, 50 minutes?
Just about, yeah.
Yeah. Last 10 minutes, really good.
It seemed like they were getting run out of the building. And then won the game.
Really good last 10 minutes or so. Yeah, this is basically the example you want to look at as far as what not to do for the first, like I said, 45, 50 minutes of this game. Cincinnati kicked a field goal with how much time was left in the third quarter? 4 minutes and 50 seconds left in the third quarter, right? That was to take a 27-6 lead. That was the last time that Cincinnati scored in this game. Pitt, 75-yard touchdown drive. They force a punt. It was like all of a sudden Cincinnati forgot how to play offense, right? So after that field goal, Cincinnati had 3 punts and a fumble to finish the game. That was the final 4 possessions. They just kind of forgot how to play offense. Pittsburgh, to their credit, I think did a good job getting off the field. 5-play drive to force a punt, then they score a touchdown, 3 and out, another touchdown, a 5-play drive and a punt, and then Pitt kicks that field goal to take the lead with about 25 seconds left, 17 seconds left. That was that late field goal by Ben Sauls. So, I mean, this was a situation here where Pittsburgh all of a sudden just started to get stops on defense, and Cincinnati, buddy, you can't go up 27-6 and then just take your foot off the gas pedal. And honestly, that's kind of what felt like happened because they weren't turning the ball over here.
Yeah. Some of this is Pitt getting off the field on defense. Some of it is sustaining and finishing drives on offense. I mean, if you look at the Pitt drive chart here, tell me when you hear a difference. 7 plays, 54 yards interception, 10 plays, 48 yards field goal, 3 plays, 4 yards punt, 6 plays, 7 yards punt, 4 plays, 45 yards field goal, 5 plays, 7 yards turnover on downs, 3 plays, 3 yards punt, 10 plays, 75 yards touchdown, 7 plays, 82 yards touchdown, 7 plays, 94 yards touchdown, 9 plays, 63 yards field goal.
Yeah.
Clearly, we waited 45 minutes of this game, but we finally found something on offense and just were able to find ways to put it in the end zone that they had not done all the way. And again, I don't really know what changed, but credit to Pitt for sticking with it and finding a way to get it done. Because, yeah, I mean, it seemed like they were dead and buried here. I mean, they're down 27-6 late in the third quarter, and it's the old call the ambulance, but not for me meme.
Yeah.
Here come the Panthers. So
somehow, some way, they finished this game with almost 500 yards of offense. So,
and almost all of them were in the fourth quarter. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, the adjustments were made late, and they kind of saved themselves a bit. But this was not a game where I think if you're a Pitt fan, you feel particularly good about how the team played.
Yeah.
They allow a huge yawn at 25 after 1.
Yeah. Again, if you're a Pitt fan, you're not sorry that you won the game, but
no. I think overall returns on Cade Bell though are pretty good. Like if Pitt was down 27-6 a year ago, they're losing that game 27-6. Like they're not coming back.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, I think overall the returns early here are pretty good. Eli Holstein made some big time throws in the fourth quarter, especially. He went over 300 yards again. So I mean, I think you like the baseline of what you have. I think you got a little something with Holstein at quarterback, and I think Cade Bell gives you an upgrade on offense that you haven't had. So, I mean, Pitt, let's keep an eye on Pittsburgh. Let's keep an eye on them.
Could be one of these progress is nonlinear, types of things with the offense under Cade Bell, and we'll see. I will say, I mean, I know that I keep saying this was never in doubt, Mike, but I did lock up Pitt money line, and if I could just be totally honest with you, I saw them down 27-6, and I was starting to think I might have misjudged Pitt after last week. So
yeah,
credit to them coming back and getting that win. Pitt halfway to 4-0 in the non-con,
halfway.
And with that Bon Jovi, we're halfway there.
I mean, this was a losable game, and they won it.
You're playing a home game next week, so that should be fine, right?
Who they got next week?
That would be the Backyard Brawl. So,
that's right.
So we'll see. Bad news if you win there, you're probably losing to Youngstown State the week after that. So maybe just get it over with this week against the rivals. I don't know.
This was the one to lose, I thought, but maybe not.
Yep. Pitt 27, Pitt 28, Cincy 27 in a hell of a comeback win for the Panthers.
Let's go to Cal. Well, I guess to Auburn.
To the Plains.
Cal 21, Auburn 14. I'm trying to figure out. I said Cal's pretty good, is what I said in the rapid reaction. Really, what I mean by that is they could make a bowl game.
Quite the clarification there.
They're pretty good, as in they're not going to just win 4 games. Yeah. I mean, they force. Look, I mean, they force. I mean, Peyton Thorne's terrible. I don't know. I mean, the fact that Auburn went into the year with him as their quarterback is baffling to me. But Auburn had 5 turnovers here. I will say the Cal's defense came to play. They play very well, right? Cal's offense, we'll call it a work in progress. You're playing an SEC. You're playing an SEC defense, SEC front.
You ran it 34 times. You almost got to 100 yards.
Almost. Yeah, almost. But, Peyton Thorne is 14-27 for 165 yards. He throws the 1 touchdown pass, the 4 interceptions, and a couple of them were really, really bad. I mean, he threw a couple in the end zone that were ugly. He was just missing guys, right? There was one that he threw that got waved off that, Auburn ended up scoring a touchdown there. So, it was 21-7. It was kind of an iffy penalty was called on Cal. So, I mean, that could have been another pick. So, I mean, you got to give Cal a lot of credit here, right? They put a lot of pressure on Thorne. Thorne made some terrible throws. But, Cal just kind of grinded it out. I think it's pretty clear it's pretty clear to me that like Jaden Ott was not 100%. No, he got banged up in the opener, and he was probable to play today, and he did. He had 10 carries for 11 yards. He wasn't really a factor at all. Not 100%.
Definitely
they didn't need him.
No,
but they didn't need him. Which, I mean, I think they would have loved for him to have been 100% today, but like they didn't really need him. They got the job done. So, yeah, this is a pretty big one here for the Bears. A big one for the ACC.
Yeah, completely true. If they play this game 10 times, I'm not convinced that Cal wins 5 of them.
I don't know, man. And I have my questions about Auburn. We got to realize Cal scored 3 touchdowns in this game.
One of them was on a 36-yard drive. One of them was on a 21-yard drive. Like they ended up +5. I said +4 earlier. They were +5 in turnovers because Peyton Thorne threw another interception at the end of the game.
Yeah, they didn't turn it over, Cal.
They didn't turn it over. They took advantage of a couple of those turnovers for short field touchdowns. Like, it's not like Cal was like super great here, right? So again, good win. You don't have to apologize for winning the game. It's great. I'm not sure. Again, going on the road, SEC team, good for the ACC. All about that. I don't know how repeatable this whole thing was, or how much we should take this to kind of reevaluate Cal as like, oh, they might be great. Like Auburn also might be low key kind of garbage. Like I think that's on the table as well.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. There's just a lot of winnable games on the schedule. They got San Diego State next week. They go to Florida State. Cal shouldn't be intimidated by Florida State. There's no reason to be. Miami game, obviously losable. You go to Pitt. That'll be an adventure for him. Home against NC State. Like, NC State's got to go to you, right? Oregon State, winnable. At Wake, winnable. Home against Syracuse. You're not going to the Dome. Home against Stanford at SMU. I mean, there's plenty there to make a bowl game. Like, you're winning 4 of those. You're winning 4 of those 10 I just listed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a bowl team.
Yeah. Yeah.
This might be top half. This might be top half of the ACC, honestly. There's potential there.
Yeah.
Just based on schedule alone.
Solid. Defense is solid, and, we'll see if the offense, I mean, there's a chance, too, with a young quarterback like Mendoza. I mean, you could see that starting to gel more as the season goes on. And certainly, again, Jaden not 100% or even close to it. It doesn't seem like right now. So, like, maybe as he gets healthier, too, like, that really kind of helps the situation for Cal.
Right.
So that could also get better throughout the year.
Yeah. So, I mean, good win. That's a big one to tab on the board, though.
Yep, completely. Cal, 21, Auburn, 14.
Oh, where to? As my computer freezes up.
Nice.
Let's go to... Do
we talk about Charlotte covering against North Carolina?
Yeah, let's just go there.
North Carolina 38, Charlotte 20 in a game that, I mean, it was never really like that close, but Charlotte kind of stayed within range enough to cover. So we'll take it for my purposes. But Carolina, I mean, up some yards, struggled to finish drives, I think, at times. This is all fine for Carolina, whatever. Connor Harrell looked okay. I don't know. I'm still not buying North Carolina. They're 2-0, but I think they've got some problems that they're going to have to figure out.
I mean, it was 38-13 and Charlotte backdoor covered. I just want to get that out there.
Well, when you're getting 22.5, like, that's always on the table.
I mean, Carolina's going to a bowl game.
Disagree.
Okay. I mean, they play NC Central next week, and they're halfway there. Then they go to Duke. That's winnable. I mean, that's,
one of those teams has to win that game by rule.
Home against JMU, very winnable. Like,
Yeah, that's not your older brother's JMU team. That's true.
Home
This
against
is
Wake.
such a softball. See, good grief.
Home against
This is
Pitt.
not a good team, and you're right. They might win 7 games.
Yeah, they're going to a bowl game.
I mean, I was right, but I'm going to be wrong.
Mm-hmm. This is one of those games where we were both right. Like, Charlotte's really, really bad. Mm-hmm. Also, they covered. So, what do you want from me?
Yep, completely. I don't have a lot more analysis on this unless you do.
No, I don't.
Fair enough. UNC 38, Charlotte 20.
We haven't talked about Clemson yet.
We have not. My goodness.
I think
number 25 Clemson 66, App State 20.
I just want to say I do think it's notable that Clemson hung with Georgia in the first half last week, and then obviously they got choked out and Georgia made some plays, and Clemson's offense never looked good last week. Mm-hmm. But if this is what Clemson's offense is going to look like against most of their ACC schedule, we'll see you in Charlotte.
Yeah,
we'll see you in Charlotte.
Questions.
No further question. I mean, this team, the roster's legit, right? And I mean, we talked about in the offseason, it did look like a pretty improved roster. The offensive line looked good. The playmakers on the outside, we all have questions about against elite competition, but they're not going up against elite competition every week. And Phil Maffa, we know he's a good back, and the questions were really around Klubnik because we know the defense is going to be good. And this is obviously the 99th percentile performance from Cade Klubnik. He had 5 touchdowns and 2 incompletions tonight. So, I mean, Clemson, this game went over the total. I had the under in this game. I felt really good about it. This game went over the total with 6 minutes to go in the second quarter. Clemson set a record.
Yeah.
Clemson set a record. I mean, they had 56 points in the first half. They set a record for points scored in a half with that score with 6 minutes to go in the first half. Then they scored 2 more times after that. They scored 35 in the first quarter. I mentioned the rapid reaction. Klubnik at the end of the first quarter was 11 for 11 for 234 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, had a rushing touchdown. I mean, he's my player of the week. We'll get that out of the way. I mean, we'll talk about that in a little bit. He's my player of the week. Mm-hmm. This is obviously the 99th percentile performance from Clemson, but it wasn't like App State just looked bad. Clemson just looked dominant, and it's been a while since we've seen a dominant performance from Clemson. We haven't seen anything like this in a couple of years offensively. This was really, really good.
Yeah. I don't have a lot to add to that. I mean, just a absolute freight train from hell situation from Clemson's offense. They host NC State next week. What's the spread?
Clemson minus. I was gonna say minus 6 or 7. So.
Yeah, I thought 6, and then I realized they're the home team. Yeah, I'm gonna Clemson 8. I think. I mean, you're not going to do this again next week. NC State's a very different animal than App State is. But, I mean, to be fair, coming into this, and I hadn't even really thought of this when I took App State and all the points coming into this game.
Yeah.
But I heard Chip Patterson from Cover 3 mention, we do remember that App State went into College Station, what was it, a year ago, and beat Texas A&M? Won the game.
Yeah.
And they have done not just the Michigan thing in 2007, but in recent years, App State will go in and give you a game and beat you against some pretty heavyweight teams of the sport. And they just never even had the chance to do that in this game. I mean, Clemson just, again, this is you talk about crock-potting someone. This is a flash fry. That oil cranked up to 700 degrees, and they were cooked.
Yeah,
3 minutes into the game, basically. This took no time at all. So,
yeah, NC State's going to have a lot of trouble moving the ball on Clemson, I think.
Yes, they are.
So
Yes, they are.
if you want to know my lean on that one, get that out of the way quickly.
Yeah, no kidding. Clemson 66, App State 20.
We can keep this quick. Virginia Tech 31, Marshall 14. So, I mean, Virginia Tech just simply didn't run the ball in the first half. I mean, Bashal Tutin was averaging 7 yards per carry in the first half, and they just were trying to force the passing game. And then they stopped doing that, and they blew They stopped doing it, and they blew Marshall out of the stadium.
So it was just like a glorified scrimmage situation of just try some stuff, or
dude, I don't know.
Just run the ball. I don't
know, but they didn't run the ball last week either. And it was what are you doing? I get they have a lot of good receivers, but I mean the pass blocking is horrendous. And I think a lot of that gets fixed when you establish the run, because drones looked a lot better in the second half when he had time to throw. So maybe you should just stop being cute and just run the football. And Tutin is one of the top backs in the ACC. Just give him the ball. It doesn't have to be complicated.
Well, and especially considering, I mean, again, pass blocking not great. Is Kyron Drones is he fully healthy? Because I know that he couldn't play the end of that game last week. I mean,
as far as I know,
I thought there was.
They said it was just cramping.
Okay, all right.
As far as I know, defense played a lot better here. Secondary was really good. Mansour Delane got cooked against Vanderbilt. He was lights out today. Defense is really good, really good.
Yeah.
Gave up some yards in the second half. Tech started scoring and got some separation. They gave up some yards and some drives. It was a bend don't break situation in the second half.
Yeah.
But I mean Tech should have covered here. I mean this is a situation where you cover 10 times out of 10. I think Tech had 4 real possessions in the second half. They scored touchdowns on the first 3. This was a not competitive game in the second half. So,
yeah,
I don't know. Good. I mean, the second week in a row they've made good second half adjustments. So I mean, maybe that's an encouraging sign. But they're starting slow, so I don't know what's going to take to stop doing that. Maybe just run the ball, and it's as simple as that. But the offensive line pass blocking is a concern. But I'm wondering how much of that is the offensive line just sucks, or maybe you just got to run the ball, because the run blocking was good. So I'm just wondering how much of that is play calling, being in obvious passing downs, pin your ears back stuff versus this is going to be really, really bad all year. We're going to find out, I think. But
yep.
Yeah, that was it. Marshall's not very good.
Yeah. Headed to Roanoke next week. See how that goes.
We'll see.
I've got a fun stat on that I'll hit you with on the preview.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I know where that's heading. It's not a good place for good.
Hokies 31, Marshall 14.
UVA 31, Wake Forest 30. We can go there now.
What a friggin' game that was.
Wow. This was. I had some of the most fun I had all weekend watching this game. This was incredible. This was what a drug.
I came away with this, and I swear that I am not just trying to antagonize the Virginia Tech contingent of this podcast, but
yeah.
Other than I'm a Georgia Tech alumnus, I'm a Louisville fan. I think Virginia might be my third favorite team in the ACC. I think I'm a Virginia fan right now. This team is chaotic as hell, and they are fun and crazy, and I'm going to be entertained every time they're on my TV, one way or the other.
I don't know if they're good, but they're entertaining.
Yep.
They cannot run the ball at all. They cannot.
No, absolutely not.
They cannot run the ball at all. But
they can try, but they will fail.
They can try, but they will fail. It's much of the same. They couldn't run the ball last year either. This rushing game is Wayne Talapapa-esque. They are bad. They are bad running the football, man. Calandria, we got a comment from Parks Robinson. I would assume is a UVA fan. Calandria is a dog, and then he mentions he's the only thing keeping this team afloat. Feels that way.
Sure does. Good thing they picked him and not Tony Muskett.
Tony Muskett. Yeah, he threw a couple bad picks, but more than made up for it with some of the throws he made in the second half. More than made up for it. And Malachi Fields had a nice game. Every time I look up, he's making a ridiculous catch. He had 11 for 148. So really, really good. Yeah, this was exciting. Wake Forest let go of the rope a little bit here, right? They have the lead. They let UVA back into it. You could feel kind of the snowball mounting. This was kind of like how the Pitt-Cincy game went a little bit.
Mm-hmm. This one is going to be really hard for Wake to sit with and digest.
I agree.
A game where you racked up almost 5 of offense, gained by over 100 yards. You were +1 in turnovers. Hank Bachmeier, 400 yards through the air. You had, big games from Donovan Green and Taylor Marin. The whole thing, I don't know what else you could ask for, but yeah, like you said, I don't know if it's a let go of the rope situation necessarily, but certainly you just needed one stop and you just couldn't get it. And that is really hard to digest and come to terms with if you're Wake Forest here.
Well, you're offensively, you're up a touchdown in the fourth quarter. You turn it over on downs in UVA territory. Then UVA takes the lead, and you got a nice drive going. You turn it over in plus territory again. Just some dumb stuff, just stuff you cannot do in a game where you know it's going to be tight. So a lot of that stuff going on, man. Yeah, so just this is going to be a really tough one for, like you mentioned, for Wake Forest to swallow. Offense just did not play well in the second half. It was just very up and down. Fourth quarter was a struggle. Shooting themselves in the foot, man. Just getting themselves behind the sticks. And then the turnover on downs was tough. The fumble by Taylor Marin. He's one of your most reliable offensive players, and he fumbles. That's just horrible timing. Yeah, man. Just not a good... They did not finish this game well at all. So Kloss is going to be pulling his hair out.
Yeah. Well, and both of these teams, this is a little bit of a swing game if you're trying to get to bowl eligibility, right?
Big time swing game.
This was one of the more attainable games on your schedule, and to lose this one, and especially again for Wake in a game that you were up, they were up 13 points, I think, with less than 10 minutes to go, and to lose that really sucks. So yeah, I feel for them, but Virginia, this is why you picked Tony Calandria and not Tony Muskett. So good on you. Congrats.
Pick the right Tony.
That's right. Virginia 31, Wake Forest 30.
We're an hour and 22 in, and we have a handful of games that were blowouts that I did not watch.
Yeah.
Miami 56, Florida A&M 9. Do you have any thoughts? Cam Ward got off to a really good start. He had 2 touchdowns on his first 5 or 6 completions.
Avoided any sort of slip up. It was 25-6 at halftime. Easy. Good. Keep it moving.
Yeah. Stanford Cal Poly, I watched a few plays of this, mostly end of first half, because I saw Stanford driving. It was 7-7. Mm-hmm. They punched it in right before halftime, and then just a dominant performance in the third quarter. Just really did what you had to do to put this game away. You had a punt return for a touchdown. You force a punt. You kick a field goal. Then you capitalize on a fumble, and it just really snowballed for Cal Poly here. It looked how it should for Stanford in the second half. They kind of screwed around a little bit and then just stepped on their throat, which is what you want to see.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, you wish it didn't take until the second half, but at the end of the day, you won the game by 34 points, so
yeah,
fine. Good.
Yeah, so that was good. And then I think the only one left is Boston College Duquesne, which I didn't watch. It was 56-0.
56-0. I don't have anything on that.
Castellanos threw 10 passes. 4 of them were touchdowns. He was 9 of 10. He was 9 of 10 for 234 and 4 touchdowns. They ran for 306 yards.
Had 4 touchdown passes. Tells me what I need to know about this opponent. But anyways,
yeah, they ran for 300 yards. That should also tell you what you need to know, because Boston College doesn't run for 300 on anybody anymore. So
yeah, no kidding. Only other one, I don't think we hit on Louisville, Jacksonville State, did we?
Oh, that's another blowout. Yeah, that's another blowout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
State 14. I mean, again, Louisville, very late competition here in the early going, and they are absolutely disposing of Austin Peay and Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State, like, not like a total dumpster of a team. Like, they'll be like an average team in the Sun Belt, I think, but Louisville did not treat them that way. So they just absolutely disposed of them. So good stuff from Louisville there.
Yeah, really balanced attack. Tyler Shuck threw for a lot, 349, 2 touchdowns, and they ran the ball well. So yeah, I mean, this is what you want to see.
Yeah, that is a crisp offense so far. So that again, this is the easiest competition they're going to play all year, is what they have seen so far. So we'll see how that all translates when things start to ramp up a little bit here in a couple weeks, when they get Georgia Tech coming into town. Their secondary is, maybe marginally better than Jacksonville State's. We'll see.
We'll find out.
Not even a joke. That secondary had a bad day, but we'll see what they do in a couple weeks.
Play the Falcon sound for me. There it is. We can recap this real quick. Penn State 34, Bowling Green 27. I actually watched a good bit of this. Bowling Green was feisty. They were
Bowling
feisty.
Green almost did the most hilarious possible thing.
Yeah, they were feisty. All right, so I mean, I think from Penn State's standpoint, the passing game is still, we'll call it a work in progress. Drew Aller, like they had a lot of trouble protecting him in this game, which is like not great. There were only 2 sacks, but like a bunch of quarterback hurries. Like it felt like he was under duress all day, which is like not what you want to see when you're playing against Bowling Green. So, that's not fantastic. Yeah, I mean, Bowling Green just had a really balanced offensive attack. They kept Penn State off the field. They capitalized on a turnover that Drew Aller had. I mean, it was just kind of a grinded out performance by Bowling Green to keep themselves in it. It's what you want to do. Yeah, I don't know. It's just Bowling Green's not that bad.
This is how I know we're living in a simulation, Mike. This is how I know. Like, Scott Loeffler, the most failing upwards coach that I think I've ever seen, has gotten Bowling Green decent. And I don't know how else to explain it other than we're living in a simulation.
They're competent.
There's no way.
Bowling Green's competent.
Somehow, some way, they sure seem to be.
Yeah, they're competent.
So, yeah. Congrats to the Falcons. They almost pulled it off and certainly got all of our attention this afternoon.
Yeah.
Yep.
Made that competitive. They were 7 for 14 on third down, Bowling Green. I mean, that's a good way to bleed the clock. They won the time of possession. They held Penn State to 2-9 on third down. Like, that's what you want to see if you're an underdog going on the road. You got to do that kind of stuff.
That's a good offense, or a good defense too, from Penn State. Like, that's one of the best defenses in the country, and you managed to do that. Damn. I mean, good game plan, I guess.
Yeah.
Andrew just caught him napping. I don't know.
Yeah. Yep.
You want to do some awards, Mike?
Yeah, I do.
Let's do that, and then we'll get out of here. The Go ACC Moment of the Week. I know I had one, and I'll hit that real quick. I don't know if you might have a separate one. There were some candidates this week.
Yeah, there were.
I could not get away from the first, let me count them up real quick. This was 12 snaps, maybe 13 snaps of the second half of Duke Northwestern. So we snapped the ball 12 times. That was 4 possessions, Mike, which ended in a blocked punt, a missed field goal, an interception, and a fumble. So you go into the locker room, you make all your adjustments. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to score some points. We're going to try to get back in this game, the whole thing. And just absolute calamity ensues. And I think it was around that time also that there was like a rabbit running around the field that's like stalled the game for a solid minute. The Northwestern mascot is like chasing the rabbit around. Like, again, fever dream stuff here. Like, I don't know what they did during halftime, but I don't think this was the plan coming out.
No, certainly was not. And my Go ACC moment of the week was the rabbit on the field, because I tweeted this, but we're naming the rabbit Over, because from that moment on the game went over. So
Over the rabbit.
Over the rat, yeah, we're calling him Over the Rabbit. So that's my Go ACC moment of the week, Joey.
Yeah, that was
Without
absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
The Brian Van Gorder Memorial You Tried Award.
Yeah, we're going to explain this to people real quick because we have a lot of new listeners. So the reason why this is named after Brian Van Gorder is because he was a coordinator in the ACC and also at Notre Dame, and then he left the conference and was coaching at Bowling Green at one point.
So he was coaching in high school.
And then was coaching in high school and was like a PE teacher. Anyway, the Brian Van Gorder Memorial You Tried Award. It's memorial, not because he's dead, but because he's dead to us. So
his career's dead.
His career's dead, yeah. So that's why there's a memorial. The You Tried Award, we give it's very similar to the Go ACC Moment of the Week in a lot of cases, but it basically goes to the unit or team or officiating crew that really tried but really screwed up. This week, I think it goes to NC State's offense.
I was going to say, that's where I was thinking was NC State's offense.
Yeah.
Tough scene.
Yeah, and that's not the only award we're going to give to NC State, Joey.
If
we're in agreement. Are we in agreement on the You Tried Award there? Are we in agreement?
That is definitely my You Tried Award as well. The Kobe Bryant Memorial Volume Shooter of the Week Award. I think that might go to Grayson McCall, Mike.
It's going to go to Grayson McCall, and I mean NC State's going to have a threefer. All right, so Grayson McCall. Yeah, I'm bringing up another award here shortly. You know it's coming. Grayson McCall completed 15 passes for 104 yards. And by the way, Kobe Bryant Memorial Volume Shooter of the Week is what it sounds like. Basically, you shoot 1,000 times and don't really do anything productive with it. So in this case, it's McCall throwing it 15 times. I'm sorry, throwing it 22 times, completing 15 passes for 104 yards. That's doing a lot of stuff without doing anything. That's basically what that award's for.
Yeah, it's kind of like you scored 30 points in a game in basketball, but it took you 35 shots to do it.
Hence Kobe Bryant. Not always the most efficient. Yeah. We invented this next
one,
award.
by the way, the final one that you're about to give out, Mike, by the way, this is an unsanctioned award. This is just yours that just you give out.
Yeah. We had to put it on the shelf for a little while, but we're bringing it back. I don't know if any of you are fans of the British monarchy. I'm not either. But this is the Queen Elizabeth II Memorial, and this one's memorial because she is actually dead. This is the Queen Elizabeth II Memorial You Died Award, and we handed this out basically days after she passed away. And tonight we're giving it to NC State because they died 51-10. They're dead. They're dead. We're giving it out.
Yep. Yeah, well,
Yep.
you know, fair. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah. So, goes to them. Goes to them. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Well
it felt
earned.
good. It felt good getting some reps in on that one. It felt good.
Team of the week. I've got Syracuse. By the way, I swear this is not a bit. This is not me just trying to defend Georgia Tech by hyping up. Syracuse looked awesome today. Genuinely, like they looked really good. I'm surprised this was only a 3-point game. They should have won, and they were about to win this game by a lot more. Like this is the best I've seen Syracuse look in a long time. So all the credit to them. My player of the week, Kyle McCord. Like he was surgical in this. They were so good. Great day for the Orange. Great win for them.
There are actually a lot of candidates for Team of the Week because there were a couple of really good comebacks. We talked about UVA's comeback against Wake. We talked about Pittsburgh's comeback against Cincinnati. I think those are two really good candidates. Syracuse, obviously, a candidate because of how impressive they looked against a ranked Georgia Tech team. I mean, mine is Clemson. I think it has to be because we haven't seen Clemson play offense like this in quite some time. And they came out, they left no doubt. This was like how their national title contending teams used to look in terms of like how they just like stepped on throats. And we haven't seen that in a really long time from Clemson. So that's mine. It's Clemson played an overmatched opponent and they beat the brakes off them. It's been years since we saw that. So Really, really good stuff. You have to. I have to give them team of the week just because like this was kind of uncharacteristic of late for them to do that. So
Yeah, completely.
giving it to Clemson.
Really good week for the Tigers. So
Yep.
again, we'll see kind of what that looks like next week. They take on NC State. Probably a very different looking game for both sides, honestly. But
Yeah, don't anticipate 66 being hung on NC State again, but maybe.
Right.
No, I mean not again. They haven't had 66 hung on them, but
Yeah,
I
they
don't
only
see
gave up
Clemson
51
scoring.
today.
I don't see it's so much better. I don't see Clemson scoring 66 again. Is what I meant to say, but
Right.
you know,
Right. Yeah. Unlikely.
yeah.
Mike, that's all I got. Anything else? Week 2 while we're here.
The bad news for NC State is that Clemson's offense was actually more efficient tonight than Tennessee's. So good luck with that. Enjoy.
The really good news is that you've got 4 practices to figure it out between now and then. So that's plenty of time.
Oh yeah, man! You better hope Cade Klubnik doesn't play like a 5-star, because
Yeah.
oh boy,
Yeah. Ruh-roh.
that'd be tough having to face like 2 actual 5-stars in a row. Just have like a 5-star and a 2-star.
Would be a real shame. Mike, that's all I got in week 2. You want to work on getting out of here and come back and preview week 3?
Just an hour 36. Scott's gonna look at it. He's gonna text us tomorrow morning. He's gonna be like, "Oh my god,
What did you do?" Yeah. It never feels that long. Like, and I don't feel like we're meandering too much, but the people might have different opinions. So if you think we really hang on to some of these games for way too long, let us know. basketballconferencepodcast@gmail.com.
I don't think we did too bad. I thought we moved kind of quickly.
Yeah, I kept it moving. It was decent. Not bad.
Yeah, there's like 17 teams to talk about, and only like a handful played against each other.
I was going to say, like, we could have been doing this back in, like, 2013, and there was only, like, 12 teams in the conference or whatever. Like, these would have been done in, like, 45 minutes.
Yeah, like Florida State. Florida State was on bye, and I mean everybody else was pretty much playing a non-con except for
Virginia, Wake, and is there one
Georgia
more?
Tech and Syracuse, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's
yeah,
it.
That one.
That's it.
So
So
you just
these
end
will
up with
get
a
quicker.
boatload of games. And, yeah, like you said, it'll get quicker. We'll see. Let's get out of here, Mike. Let's come back, preview week 3. In the meantime, they can find us on Twitter at FTRSJoey, at Mike McDaniel SI, together at BC Podcast ACC. Find us on YouTube, youtube.com/@the-ACC Football Podcast. We've been doing a bunch of live recaps, some live previews. Come join us in the comments. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon. You'll know when we're going to go live. Hit the like button. That really helps us as well. Helps get some more visibility to what we're doing. So really appreciate the folks that will do that. And shout out to the folks that spent a late night in the comments with us. That was a lot of fun, and appreciate the folks showing up and talking about the day that was. So we'll be going live most weeks, trying to go live, I think, here at midnight Eastern or thereabouts, as we try to recap the games that were this season, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be here around midnight Eastern all season long on Saturday nights. This is our go-to. We started the live reaction show, what was it, last year? And well received. So
Yeah,
we
I
continue.
think it works for all involved. So
Yep.
come hang out with us. Makes it more fun. The more the merrier. So come join us. Mike, they can send us emails with questions, comments, concerns to the longest email address known to man, basketballconferencepodcast@gmail.com.
Nailed it.
Thank you. Where else in the social medias?
Facebook.com/basketball conference, rate, review, find some of our podcasts there. Instagram at BC Podcast ACC. Scott was posting some stuff there this week, so go check that out as well.
Shooting
The
some
YouTube.
reels out there. They look good.
They did look good. And then the YouTube channel, obviously. YouTube.com/@the-ACC Football Podcast. Please, please, please subscribe. A lot of you have done that, which we appreciate.
Yeah, very much appreciate that. So, Mike, I think that's all I've got on week 2. You want to come back and preview week 3?
On to week 3 already.
On to week 3. We ride.
We
We
ride.
move.
We're in it now, Joey.
We sure are. We sure are. All right. That's all we've got. Thank you all so much for coming out. Thank you for listening. We will talk to you again very, very soon. We'll come back and preview week 3. Until then, for Mr. Mike McDaniel, for producer Scott, I am Joey Weaver. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll talk to you again soon. Until then, Go ACC.